Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. If your kids are anything like my kids, they probably love superheroes. I know I do. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. In my opinion, Spider-Man's the coolest of all the superheroes, but that's up for debate. But today we're looking at a cooperative game all about superheroes working together to save the world. Today we're looking at Marvel United. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Marvel United looks something like this. As you can see, there's a lot to be put onto the table each time you play, but turns and the game goes pretty quickly. I will show all these miniatures because that is what people really want to see at times. So here you got Ant-Man. Let's get this into focus here. There you go. You got Ant-Man and Iron Man in this setup. Up against Red Skull. There you go. And then the other ones in the game have this decent insert. It's a little thin, but you got Black Widow, Wasp, Captain America, one of my favorites, Hulk, Captain Marvel, Ultron, and rounding it out, Taskmaster. So they're pretty sweet. Each of them comes with their own deck of cards. Here's the Taskmaster as well as Ultron, and then all of the heroes each also come with their own deck of cards. Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Wasp, Hulk. There you are. And then on the table we have Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Red Skull. Turns are pretty simple. Each player starts with 3 cards in their hand, and on your turn you pick up a card and then play a card. What you're trying to do is you're trying to rescue civilians, clear threats. By these cards are the threats, as well as defeat thugs. So as soon as you have finished one of these objectives, so as soon as you collectively have defeated 9 thugs, then that's, I'll move this over, that automatically makes it that the villain gets to act after every 2 hero cards. At the start of the game, it's after every 3. So let me show you kind of how a round works. For example, I'll scoot the camera down a little bit. You always start by playing the villain master plan. So in this case, you start top down. So you move Red Skull 1 clockwise, then you do all the BAM effects. So as you see on Red Skull's dashboard, it says BAM, deal 1 damage to each hero in Red Skull's location and increase the fear track by 2. So as of right now, there's nobody in his location, but you still move the fear track up 2, and then you would do all of these. So Madam Hydra, deal 1 damage to each hero in this location. Any hero can prevent this by taking 1 crisis token. So you do all that. You do all the BAM, so you do crossbones as well. And then you add more civilians and thugs. So whichever one he is in, you add 2 civilians, like this, and then adjacent, you do 1 on each side. That would start the storyline. So as I said, when you start the game, you play a villain card, then the heroes get to play 3 cards, and then back to the villain. So let's just say it was Iron Man's turn. I'm just going to take the 1 top card off of each deck. Each player would start with 3 cards in their hand, and at the start of their turn, they would pick up 1. But let's just say they play this. At that point, they would do the move action and the attack action in any order. They could do the attack first, then move, or move first, then attack. So maybe they will just stay where they're at, attack this thug, defeat him, and then he could move. So Iron Man maybe just moves over here. Okay, then it would be Ant-Man's turn. He'd play a card. So when Ant-Man plays a card, he gets the actions of the card that he just played and the 1 previous card. So he collectively would gain 2 attack. He would also have a heroic action and he could move. And again, he could do this in any order. So heroic actions are used to defeat thugs, to rescue civilians, or putting them on these threat cards. So in this one, you discard all of the thug and civilians from this location and advance the track by the number of tokens discarded this way. So if Red Skull ever lands on that one, when he moves, then you would automatically trigger that effect as well. So heroes play 2, back up to Iron Man. He plays 1. He would then again get the previous actions from Ant-Man as well as his action. So he's just going to save civilian. He will attack a thug, and he'll move as well. So the heroes have played 3 cards. Then it's back to Red Skull. He's not going to move at all, but he's going to do his BAM. So again, you do the BAM, deal 1 damage to each hero. At that point, Iron Man's in his location. So the player playing Iron Man would have to discard one of their cards to the bottom of their pile. If ever a hero gets KO'd, meaning all their cards are discarded, or they've played them and then discarded or taken damage or whatever, then for their next turn they lay down, and then on their next turn they get to stand back up and draw 4 cards. So you're never totally out. You just keep going on until either you lose, and in this case, for Red Skull, if the fear track ever gets up to 20, then the heroes lose. You will also lose as a team if you run out of master plan cards. So if ever the villain must play a card and there's no more cards, then that's the timer of the game. You lose then. Or if a hero has no cards to play, so they run through their whole deck, then you would also lose the game as well. Like I said, you also have Ultron as well as Taskmaster. They play a little bit different. Taskmaster is just trying to, cause absolute chaos and puts lots of crisis tokens on the board. Ultron's trying to gain every location with the max amount of civilians or thugs. If that's ever the case, heroes lose. You have a whole bunch of different tokens. I will also say for Red Skull, you guys are the heroes win once you've completed 2 of these 3 things. So if you save all the civilians or save 9 civilians, defeat 9 thugs, then and only then can you attack Red Skull. And depending on how many players are playing, that's how many damage Red Skull starts with. So you put these on there as to how many. So in a 2-player game, you put 4, so on and so forth. Crossbones also has health. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. You're just picking up a card, playing a card, and trying to beat whoever you're trying to beat first. There you are. On to now the final forecast. So the final forecast for Marvel United, a cooperative game in which players are trying to defeat either Red Skull, Ultron, or Taskmaster. At least in the base game. There's tons of expansions where you can have different villains and different heroes, but speaking on the base game, this game has been a fun time in my house. My kids have really enjoyed this, specifically my 8-year-olds. It says 8-year-old or 8-year-old. I only have one, but it says 8+ on the box. And I think that's pretty accurate. It plays pretty quick. Setup takes a little bit of time. You have all those different tokens, and you got to make pools of them. That takes a decent-ish amount of time, but the gameplay, as soon as you're playing, 15-20 minutes maybe, and you're done a game, and it's just a lot of fun. It's pretty simple. Mechanics, pretty easy, straightforward. Rulebook says it all. On your turn, you pick up a card, you play a card, you resolve that card, as well as you resolve the card, or the hero card in front of you, on hopes to, defeat the thugs, rescue civilians, clear those threat markers off, and then once you've done 2 of the 3 objectives, then you can, and only then can you attack the villain. And it's just been a lot of fun. My kids really enjoy me turning on the Marvel or the Avengers soundtrack and just have that superhero music in the background and just really getting into it. We've had situations, most recently yesterday, where self-sacrifice was needed for us to actually win the game. It was actually my final turn. The game was almost done. The Taskmaster deck was almost depleted, so if it would have been depleted, we would have lost. My son He was Iron Man. He didn't have many cards left. And on my turn, I took damage. I got knocked out. And because of that, he was able then to, on his next turn, defeat Taskmaster. And his face just lit up. He was just so pumped. We played a couple rounds like that. My daughter did the same thing. Because of her self-sacrifice, we were actually able to win. And I think that's really cool, a thematic aspect in this game. Because you see it in the movies all the time. You know, heroes working together and, you know, someone self-sacrificing for the betterment of the team. And so it's really cool that it played out a couple times in our plays. It's just been a lot of fun. I'm not a big fan of miniatures. Moving on to the components, I'm not a big fan of miniatures, but the miniatures in this one are absolutely fantastic. I've said it in the past, miniatures, take it or leave it. I'm not going to buy a game because of miniatures, but this game, they could have had little standees, but in this game, the miniatures actually make the game that much better. That Hulk miniature just looks so sweet. Ant-Man, he's just, you know, in his micro size, and he's standing on a quarter, and just everything about the miniatures in this game. And again, I'm not a miniatures fan, but these are absolutely fantastic, top notch. It is a mass market game. I picked mine up actually at Walmart. It's from Spin Master. And you can see that in some of the components as well. The cards, they're very, very thin cards. My insert was actually cracked in a couple places. So the insert, the cards, the insert's nice, but it's maybe just not as top notch as other inserts in other games. The cards, again, it's mass market games, so you'll expect just cheaper cards. Overall, if you and your kids or you and your game group love superheroes, it's a pretty simple game. We probably win more times than we lose, which isn't a bad thing, especially teaching kids teaching kids to get into the board gaming hobby. This is a chance for them to just win more times than not, and not to get absolutely deflated by losing more times than they win. It's pretty simple. You can make it harder by adding those challenge cards and taking out some of the wilds, but pretty simple. It doesn't take very long. It's got pretty decent-ish components to some degree, and it's just been a lot of fun for me and my kids. So that is Marvel United. If you have kids who love superheroes and they just love, you know, working together, this is a no-brainer. Check it out. So Marvel United, 75% chance of meeples. It is a good game. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook. Cloudy the Chance of Meeples. Remember, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.